If you spent a lovely day at the beach, and then returned the following weekend knowing that it had one fewer grain of sand, would it seem like a different beach? So too would the universe continue in its ways if humanity weren't here to witness it.
The universe is absolutely massive, and we are virtually insignificant in it.
I think fragile, fearful humans were terrified of death, and so they wrote their own ending to the story. This happy fantasy, a place where they'll be reunited with people they've lost.
Living for the afterlife, thoughtlessly following a set of what not to do rules which you cannot question. That's basically devaluing your life in favor of worshipping death.
An unlimited supply of anything, including life, means that its existence cannot be appreciated. If life is eternal, then there should be no sense of urgency.
The worst aspect of Western monotheism is their system of judgment. It doesn't matter what an evil, selfish, sadistic, bigoted victimizer you were in life. All sins can be forgiven if you but believe.
Whilst descriptions of heaven are as diverse as those who believe in heaven, there does appear to be one constant. It will last for eternity. Imagine that. Imagine eternity. The first 100 years may be possible. The first 1,000 more painful. The first 10,000 insufferable. But this is just the start.
When we look at what a human being is, what their identity is, that I am this collection of my memories, my hopes, my dreams, my desires, my consciousness exists as a product of the brain that is in this body.
In some respects, we never die. I mean, there is scarcely a living soul on this planet that doesn't go to bed at night without their lives in some way being affected by the work of the hands and minds of folks like Faraday, Newton, and Pasteur.
After I die, and after our sun dies, and after the planetary nebula it leaves behind fades away, every atom of me will be recycled back into the universe. Knowing that this life is the only one I have makes me a lot more conscious of my actions.
I'm not just going to exist. I'm going to live.
And instead of being so fixated on living after death, I want to truly live before it. And be thankful that against incredible odds, I was able to witness this particular part of the universe.
Why is it that when we look at our lives and the world around us, we constantly ask, is this all there is? If this is it and all that there ever has been, why bother even asking the question? It should be instinctively self-evident for us, but for some reason it isn't. To say that this life is all there is to deny a fundamental question in us all that never ceases to go away. Is there more to life than just this world?
Now I wonder why people would say that we're insignificant compared to the cosmos. The assumption here seems to be that size determines value, but this seems to be grossly false. We don't think that a grain of sand on a big beach is insignificant to the beach as a whole because of its minuscule size, but rather because the grain of sand does not contain any special potentiality that would make a difference to the beach as a whole.
Is our worth as human beings dependent on our size? Are we irrelevant because we are so small compared to the cosmos? Only if we are vain enough to value this material life over eternal things. But this world and its size are nothing more than a shadow, a mirage, a hologram. But a mirage does not determine our worth, but only those things that are real. Our connection to God, the good, the transcendent world.
Relative size does not determine value. If someone were to say that your newborn baby was insignificant due to its minuscule size in comparison to the universe as a whole, and therefore that your newborn baby has no value, you would think that person is absolutely crazy. No person living on Earth truly believes that size determines value. It is most obvious when we just open our eyes and observe the world around us. Life experiences help us understand that the people we know and love have an inherent value. Through living our life and interacting with others, we can see just how uninformed and inhuman the claim that size determines value really is.
Now, what about the universe as a whole? Take the whole observable universe, which contains billions of galaxies receding away from us in all directions, as a result of the cosmic expansion. Do we have any potentiality that makes a difference to the universe? Yes, I think so. Not only do we, or any other similar species, possess the potentiality to alter the structure of the universe in the far future, but arguably much more important, we also bring in a unique element missing in the universe. We bring in concepts such as love and compassion. The universe is not happy and it is not sad. It is not even emotionally neutral. It is we, the living beings, that introduce these concepts into the universe, and this is indeed significant in my opinion.
It seems this life offers us opportunities that we will not be able to have in heaven. For example, the ability to be brave is to face one's fears and overcome them. To express compassion can only be done if there is sorrow. But most importantly, this life gives us the opportunity to, uncoerced, choose God to be our Father, Savior, Teacher, and Mentor, or to reject Him.
Quite the opposite of devaluing life, the afterlife serves to enhance our earthly existence. Because of the eternal consequences this life has, it places the greatest emphasis on choosing to live this life to the best of our moral capabilities.
Heaven, for me, is here and now, in this life. When my physical life ends, of course, I do expect my spiritual life to continue. In that sense, I'll go to the place we think of as heaven. But the very thing that makes heaven so great, the very thing that makes heaven heaven, is simply the fact that God is there. And to the extent that God is a part of my life here and now, my eternity in heaven has already begun.
Now some argue living for eternity would be hell, because we'd eventually run out of things to do. But this is the wrong view of what eternity in heaven is. Heaven is not a place that is about you. In fact, it is the opposite. It is not a place like a paradise on earth filled with self-pleasures. Heaven is a place of self-giving, where we forever experience love and give our love to others and to God. You don't get bored of caring for loved ones over time. The love gets stronger and better. That is what heaven is. A place where the focus is away from yourself and on serving and loving others. A place where you are always focused on yourself, filling your own self-desires and caring only about yourself. That is hell.
It's not surprising that some people find the concept of eternity with God unattractive, because these are the kinds of people who freely choose to reject their Creator and Saviour and would prefer to live by their own standards, branding themselves God of their own life. But to those who want to enter into the most fulfilling relationship imaginable, then there is nothing greater that compares to spending eternity with God.
If this life is all there is, we will die and be forgotten, and in time, all we have affected will be forgotten as well. One day, all of mankind's achievements will crumble to dust, and life will be extinguished as the last stars fade into blackness. If this life is all there is, purpose has no purpose, and meaning no meaning. But we have been sold a lie. This material existence is not all there is. This universe was not created from itself, but from something, someone, beyond space and time. This material world is derived from the immaterial, and beyond it, there is another world waiting for us, a better world.
In contrast to the non-believer who lives life on a sensual level, pleasing their desires and finds no satisfaction because eventually everything gets boring, or the non-believer that lives life on an ethical level, trying to do the good but continues to fail, the Christian believer that lives life on the God-centered level receives a personal relationship with their Creator, forgiveness of sin, and finds ultimate purpose that starts now.
I don't know anybody who's living on Earth who is completely 110% satisfied with their life, because we were not made to live on earth. We were made to live in heaven with God. And the reason why man is constantly pursuing a greater end, something bigger than himself, and constantly searching, always searching, is because he's looking for that something.
I remember C.S. Lewis taught, being hungry doesn't prove a man will get food, but surely it proves there is such a thing as food. We say the material universe is evil, unjust, and not pleasant, but if we are just products of the material universe, then we should feel right at home in it. You know, a fish doesn't feel wet because it's made for the water, but we do because we're not aquatic creatures. If the universe is where we belong, we should feel right at home in it.
We live in an enormous expanding universe, and the rate at which the universe expands depends on the density of the universe in a crucial way. In order for the universe to expand for the billions of years needed for stars to spread the chemical elements of life, the universe must expand at a special rate, and so consequently have a special density. This density corresponds to the mass of billions of galaxies in the observable universe, and so life can only arise in a vast and old universe containing a huge number of galaxies and stars. As the cosmologists Barrow and Tipler pointed out, an observable universe containing only the mass of our own galaxy would only have existed for less than a month. That's not enough for our existence, to put it mildly. Ironically, the vastness of the universe and the plenitude of stars that made you question your significance was required for you to be here and do the questioning.
If our existence, as the naturalist would have us believe, is the accidental byproduct of an aimless process, then what can be said of the value of such a purposeless being? You see, our value is derived from our purpose, and our purpose originates from God's will for us to freely choose to be with Him in the afterlife. This understanding not only motivates one to value and cherish one's own life, but to do the same for others, because God created each individual person and loves them all equally.
Life is about love, and there is no greater love than the life God gave on Calvary. It is this love freely given to us which truly equips us to do the good in this life, because He first loved us.
I'm not biding my time here on earth, walking a tightrope of good deeds, waiting to die so I can go to heaven. You see, the essence of Christianity is not religious activities where you try to be good enough to get into heaven, but rather it's a relationship with God.
Christianity does not only offer promises of things to come, but also offers one the freedom and the power to do the good and the knowledge of one's security.